Why I left Amazon and the corporate life. I was really happy with my job at Amazon. My job satisfaction overall was pretty high. But at some point, I just decided it wasn't the life for me. Why is that? I'm not going to share advice on what you should do or how you should live your life or how you shouldn't. This is purely my perspective and from my experience why I decided to do something. So I joined during the start of COVID back in 2020. The job market was all in uncertainty, so I felt very fortunate in getting this job. The future was all in uncertainty. Like, we didn't know that we were living amongst this time of a COVID bubble, an upcoming AI bubble. So in 2022, a lot of tech companies started laying people off, and fortunately, I wasn't one of them. But that kind of sums up how uncertain and how challenging the job market was during this time. I'd always had this goal of moving to Asia, especially to Hong Kong. But because of COVID, of course, that wasn't possible. And I just thought, well, with how reputable Amazon is, and it's one of the top tech companies in the world, what reason do I have to leave? I felt very comfortable at the time. I felt like I was at the right place. I felt like this was going to help my career a lot. I couldn't imagine joining another tech company at the time. I thought Amazon was the creme de la creme. And yeah, I was earning quite a decent salary, although I wasn't earning as much as 6 digits. I wasn't earning crazy sums of money. The work hours were quite flexible. I always achieved work-life balance most of the time, and people didn't push you to work late or shift your hours to adjust to someone else's. Like, if you clocked off at 8 o'clock and you started work at 10 a.m., your managers would likely encourage you to take time off the following day or any other day that fitted you. And to that, I had the most supportive managers and colleagues. I had been quite fortunate because I heard that the whole manager's situation can be quite a mixed bag in Amazon. And it just overall made the working environment such a pleasure to be in. And there were times that even with the mandatory office days, I just felt like it was not so bad because of how collaborative and open my colleagues were. I made some good friends from Amazon. However, of course, I had my issues. When I first joined Amazon in 2020, I thought that I would be mostly autonomous in that I would be given what I wanted to do based on a particular business goal, but how I would get there was completely autonomous in the sense that I would go off and do my own thing, I would do my own research, I would implement my own code, my own designs, be responsible for shipping, be responsible for the end-to-end customer experience, and work with small groups to achieve that, or at least not in an environment where multiple teams have to come together to come to that goal. Amazon, from my experience, didn't managed to sell me that autonomy. I felt accountability and ownership at Amazon was really few and far in between. Ultimately, you don't drive the decisions that lead to end user engagement. Particularly because I, as a software engineer, I was very abstracted from that. And you are in some parts, like when you're required to offer a technical explanation to explain why engagement numbers dipped, or like why is there some sort of discrepancy between this interaction from a particular time period versus this particular interaction rate in this particular period, like what's the difference, what led to this difference. It felt like you were some sort of robot who was expected to churn out the correct answers. And most of the time the accountability felt like it was all behind smoke and mirrors. If you're not in a senior position, you don't really have that high sense of accountability. I remember one time the color of a particular button somehow became a hot topic of debate. The product manager used A/B testing to decide whether one particular button color would lead to better engagement versus another. And the decision was based off that data, and the color was proposed to senior VP. The senior VP turned around and said basically that they didn't like that color. And just like that, the proposal was scrapped. So on a similar note, this autonomy led to a lot of proprietary technologies being developed within Amazon. You know, every team wanted to create some sort of tool or something that helped internally that would boost their own visibility. It created this sort of hive mentality, i.e. teams that would tend to have more knowledge than other teams on the particular tool because they created it. This meant I had to spend a lot of time learning how to use these particular tools and onboard to them, and less time producing things that mattered. These ecosystems created by other teams caused communication walls. They often popularized something called office hours, where that team would give a particular time slot during the week to answer any questions in some sort of meeting format. And that caused a lot of friction between engineers. I found it particularly stressful at times trying to engage with other teams because of these communication walls. What else? So I felt like because I was a software engineer specializing in one particular area, I felt like my role wasn't particularly future-proof. I felt like my skills would eventually become obsolete. And as well with the whole job security thing, I did mention that back in 2022, the job market was where it plummeted. You can see from this graph here, like if the trend continued all the way to present day, I felt like there was just going to be way too much pressure eventually to keep up with the job market. And if I didn't build on my specialist skill set, how would I be able to put myself in a better position? And I guess as well, the thing I hated a lot was the whole scaling the corporate ladder thing. And it felt like I was playing a corporate game a lot of the time, especially with promotions and basically staying alive in a top tech company. It boiled down to performance reviews, which left me very exhausted. In performance reviews, you're pitted against your peers and other people from your organization. And if you're ranked amongst the bottom, then you're put into a performance plan. So basically, it feels like you're competing against your colleagues. And that kind of strains cooperation at times. Like there was always the thought at the back of my head that if I let other people have better opportunities, then I'm not doing myself a favor. Even if that would probably have led to a better product, if that opportunity that I got was shared amongst others, promotion became a stressful checklist of items that you had to tick off. While even I had to compromise my own values to get there. I guess staying in a job didn't align with my life goals at the end of the day. They didn't offer any relocation, nor did they have any roles in Hong Kong. And due to the restrictive work from anywhere policy, or just the attitude nowadays towards remote working, it just wasn't possible. I felt like I was ready at that point. I felt like being at Amazon helped build my readiness to get here. I'm trying out life as an entrepreneur and enabled me to learn entirely new things, connect with more people that shared my life goals and career goals. But yeah, a lot of people had left Amazon in recent years. There's a ton of videos out there that have shared other people's experience and their reasons. So I hope this is something that's a little bit different. So tell me, what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down. I'm Alvin Speaks. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.